Hello everyone and welcome to the Matt Ligor Show. I'm your host Matt Ligor. I'm here with my very own show that I broadcast on the North Reading Public Access. My show is about being an entrepreneur, it's about business, it's about inspiration, it's about a lot of good things, I think, because this day and age we live in, I think we have so much bad news and so much stuff to upset us. I think maybe we just need to take a little break and have something that will leave us feeling a little better, and that's where I come in. So that's what I like to talk about during my show. Today we're going to do something a little different, something I've never done before. We're going to have a green screen behind me, and we're going to have some different pictures coming through and rotating. It might be an utter failure, but one thing for sure is we're going to try something new because last time I did the show, I watched it afterwards. Now, when I got ready to do the show, I said to myself, I looked in the mirror and I said, well, I look good. I thought I was put together nice, you know. I thought I had a nice shirt on, and my hair I thought was good. And then I watched the show, and I looked terrible. I looked awful. And then to add insult to injury, halfway through the show, the most unthinkable thing happened. One of my buttons unbuttoned right around here on my stomach, and I didn't have a T-shirt on underneath, so you got to see my stomach. Now, we did the best we could to cover it up with graphics, but you know, the ship had already sailed. It was mortifying and horrifying, and I don't think I've ever quite been so embarrassed to have myself publicly humiliated like that. But I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing because it teaches you a lesson. So I decided that I would do something to distract you from me. You'd see something behind me that would be more interesting than me. Because you know what happens as you get older, you never think of yourself as anything but 25. You always, in your mind's eye, see yourself as 25. And when you see a picture of yourself in reality, in life, and what really is going on, it's not what your mind thinks it is. So we're going to try it, and we'll see how it goes. So on today's show, on my show in general, I like to have an interesting guest on, preferably a business owner, an entrepreneur, or somebody who's kind of doing something cool. And today I'm going to have a guest on who is doing something I think is cool, and they've added something to their community. My guest is going to be Mark Hall, and we're going to talk to him about his store that he has, Ryers Market, right in the center of North Reading. I think everybody in North Reading and surrounding towns knows what I'm talking about. So let's get started, and I want to introduce you to my guest, Mark Hall. All right, Mark, so welcome to the show, Mark. I'm glad to have you here today. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. So, Mark, you've lived in North Reading your whole life?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We had a joke set up there, but you kind of missed the mark on it. You were supposed to say not yet. Anyway, Mark, so you've lived in North Reading your whole life. You're a business owner, entrepreneur, and you're also the proprietor for Ryers Market right down in the center of town.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I got all that right. Now, how long have you owned Ryers Market?
Since 2002.
2002. So we're going on 15 years, huh?
Yeah.
All right. And when you bought Ryers Market, it was the original building, the original store that had been there since day one?
Since 1912, from what we understand.
1912. Now, was it the first business in North Reading, or one of the first, or one of the oldest?
One of the oldest. Croswell Funeral Home is also opened in 1912.
So those two businesses have been operational since 1912 till present day.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, how was it that you got involved in Ryers Market? Because by trade, you're a contractor, you're a builder, right?
Yeah.
All right. And so to go take the turn into a store owner, how did that come about?
Didn't want it, but the rumor was Honeydew Donuts was going to buy the corner and tear down Ryers, which was a country store that I grew up around and have a lot of memories about. So, and Bill Ryer offered it to me for a certain amount of money, and I turned him down. I said, no, what am I going to do with a store? I'm going to have to tear it down. The building's junk.
Yeah.
And then he called back a week later with a better offer, an offer you couldn't refuse, or kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so out of respect for Bill, I took it, and I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. But my aunt was unemployed, so she started running it. We cleaned it up, painted it, emptied it out, painted the inside and the outside, and she started running it. Well, she was struggling with it. So then this woman named Christine Fisher from England came jogging by one day and said, "I can run that store for you." I said, "Here's the keys, so do with it what you want." And it was a very trying times because the road was all dug up for over a year, so we lost a lot of customers. In
The center of town, that road there was
the
dug
whole
up? Yeah.
Route 62 was all dug up.
Yeah.
And so we built the business back up. It had kind of gotten a little bit slow in the store before we bought it because Bill was fading away, getting out of it and all that. But anyway, Christine did a great job of bringing it back with flowers, talking to people like the old Ryers used to be.
Yeah, yeah.
You get an insult, a conversation out of it every day. And I think she had probably about one staff member, and the two of them could run the whole store. There was no real food except steamed hot dogs.
Yeah, yeah, I remember. I used to come in when I moved to North Reading in 2004. And, I saw the country store, and I went down there, and Christine was the first person I met. And I thought it was her store because she was so, so involved and so inviting.
Yeah.
And she told me about how you guys had just gotten steak tips, and go try some steak tips. At that time you were selling, I forget what brand, doesn't matter, but they were really good, high quality. So she was very involved in it. She never insulted me. I feel a little bit left out of that, because that would make you really kind of like part of the town. If you'd walk in and someone would insult you. Now, do you get insulted in the new Ryers?
Not so much, but Bill Ryer, after he sold the store to us, worked there for 5 years in the old store until we changed to the new store. He actually worked at the new store a little bit, but he needed something to do, so he'd come over and run the register, and he would do the insulting and the jokes and stuff.
All right.
He's kind of a funny guy.
So basically, you're kind of saying like you had like a connection to the Ryers from childhood, right?
Yeah.
And you saw it. I mean, it was just about dead. It was gonna be torn down. Now, I never knew that it was going to be replaced by a Honeydew Donuts, and personally, I think what you've done with it is so beautiful. It's such a beautiful, the new building, it's so beautiful, the store inside. Anybody that comes to North Reading and goes to the store always comments on it. And it's a landmark. Whenever I tell people I own a business in North Reading, and when I tell them, where to go, they go, "Oh, how far are you from that country store?" So everybody knows where it is. It really doesn't matter where you come from. So you've made a real lasting impression with it. Now, is there? Why don't you tell us a little bit about the present day Ryers? Like, what can we expect in there? Like, what are some things that people don't know you can get at Ryers? Like, we all know you can go get some milk and some water and a sandwich. Is there anything else that maybe somebody might not know that you have there?
Well, like any country store up north that you go to, they have just about everything because there's no grocery stores. At least there isn't up there. So they have just a little bit of everything. But so that's what we wanted to do. Even though I was advised by professionals, don't try to be all things to all people.
Yeah.
But that's what a country store is. So we have our own marinated meats. We cryovac them ourselves, tumble them ourselves. They're absolutely delicious. Other meats. We have a full deli.
Yeah.
We went to Carnegie's in New York City to look and see what they did. We studied it pretty good. But there's a hot bar during the day. There's a salad bar. It's very popular.
Yeah.
6 different soups in the cold weather and 3 soups in the warmer weather. And we can do catering, and we sell beer and wine. We got our beer and wine license back in 03-ish.
Yeah.
And we carry exotic stuff. We don't sell 30 packs or singles because we don't want that image.
So like 30-pack of beer, and you can't go get a 40-ounce, right?
Or a single.
Or a single, that's like one bottle.
Right.
And put it in a paper bag
Right.
and walk around the center of North Reading and look like a derelict.
Right.
All right.
So
Now, when you cater, like what could someone expect for catering? Like what kind of foods?
Ken, the present manager, is a graduate of Johnson & Wales, and he can do pretty much anything you want. But typically it's bites, small bites and stuff like that, is what people would order.
Yeah.
Football menu, which has, you know, everything from buffalo wings to sliced cold cut sandwiches and stuff like that. But we do our MG Hall Christmas party every year with Rise, and they'll do anything you want.
I was there, and the food was delicious. I enjoyed every bit of it.
We use high quality everything in the food.
Yeah. So let's just go back a little bit. Let's go back to 2002 when you bought the building, all right? And the building was the condition it was in, all right? Now, you said it was junk. Now, junk in the sense that it was just old.
To change the use, it would be useless.
Yeah.
So we felt as though we had to keep it as a store and just patch it up for now until we could build a new store.
Yep.
And so that's what we did.
And what year did you build the new store?
We opened in 07,
2007.
September 12th.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a beautiful, you did it in that old style. Now, what kind of style would you say that building is? It looks like a farmhouse.
Grange Hall. It's supposed to look like a Grange Hall that could add it on to.
Yeah.
And maybe a feed store. The front porch would have been the loading dock type of thing.
Yeah.
That was the theme.
Yeah. Well,
But we didn't want to lose the charm of the old store, so we made it, we think, charming.
I think you did. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very charming, and the old signs and everything.
Yeah.
Now you have a real thing for nostalgia.
Yes.
Where's that come from?
My barn. My barn was full of stuff, so we put it up in rise and showed it off.
So you're saying the barn you bought that you live in, the house you live in,
Yeah.
had a barn and it had a bunch of old stuff
I
in
just
it?
collect stuff over the years, put it in the barn, and finally we found a use for it. And so it's got to be related to North Reading to hang there.
Yeah.
Except for one clock, which is a Pearly Burl clock. It's possibly the oldest filling station in the country, they say, in Linfield, and they were tearing that down, and I got the clock out of there. So it's worth having. We're so close to North Reading. It's worth having an out of town sign.
Yeah, so that's the exception you made for the oldest filling station.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really. I saw they used to have the sign, the oldest filling station in America.
Yeah, if you Google it, it might not say that, but that's the rumor.
Yep. Okay, so tell me something else now. What kind of history? Is there any history to to Ryers? Any interesting history you could add to it?
Well, it was a dentist office. Off to the right, when you go in the front door, there's a section that was a dentist office. And Bill Ryer tells the story about when the B9 crashed up on Oakdale Road up in near the Eisenhower Pond there. Bill was supposed to be at the dentist, and he saw the plane go down when he was supposed to be at the dentist. If he was at the dentist, he wouldn't have seen the plane go down.
Yeah.
And what else? There was also a post office.
Yeah.
That section.
Yeah.
And it had a gas pump out front, one kind of gas. And there was several corner stores in town. This is obviously the last one.
Where were the other corner stores? Like what area? Do you know?
At the bottom of Oakdale Road and Park Street.
Yeah.
There's one. There was one in up at Martin's Pond where Burroughs Road veers off to the right and turns into Lakeside Boulevard, I think, right at the V. There was one there. There's one in every corner, really.
And this is just the last one. So like the general store had all your dry goods, right?
Yeah.
Your meats and stuff like that too. Would you buy that there at a general store, or was that like
In the day, yeah, probably. Yeah.
And then you could also, when the car came around, every general store got a tank, right? A pump.
Yeah.
And you could fill your car up too.
Yeah, well, at least this one, yeah.
That one did, yeah. That's interesting. So you're an entrepreneur, right? Would you say? Mm-hmm. All right. You've been your whole life an entrepreneur, or is that something that came later? Usually an entrepreneur is something that's kind of in you, and you kind of, if you get a job, you kind of go away from it. But you've been in the building field, right? Your whole life. Anything else?
Yeah. No, just I worked for my father doing sheet metal at Summers, and I worked for a guy named Nick Nickerson who taught me restoration of old houses and stuff for Summers and after work. But then I went off on my own in 1979 when I graduated from the Volk.
Yep. You graduate. Which Volks you graduate from?
Wakefield.
Wakefield Volk. Yeah. And did you take carpentry or?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you started your career as a carpenter at that point.
Yeah, working sheet metal wasn't my thing. Everything got buried. You didn't get to see any of the workmanship or anything like that. It's either up on a rooftop or buried in a drop ceiling.
Yeah.
And I hated it.
Yeah.
So I started off on my own.
Okay, all right. And from there, obviously, we see your signs around. You do some building. You own Ryers and everything, which is it's not, Ryers isn't just a store. Now, there's some, is there more, is there a obstetrician upstairs?
Yes, there's office space up there. It's actually got a 4-stop elevator in it. There's another kitchen in the basement that has not been put online yet.
Yeah.
But we got the hood and everything. All the plumbing is in the floor for it.
Wait a minute. What's in the basement?
Another kitchen.
Another kitchen, and what would that be for? More catering?
It'd be a prep area.
Yeah.
It would be a prep area ultimately, but
yeah.
We haven't built it out yet.
Is that the future?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna be more in the field of catering. Is that what I'm to understand with that, or just more for the store?
More for the store. We'd like to expand catering, but it's not as simple as that.
Yeah.
But we do a lot of prepared foods too, which I didn't mention.
Mm-hmm.
So you can take a plate of food home, heat it up in the microwave after work, and have an inexpensive homemade meal.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I think a lot of families in North Reading, both working. I know in my case, I work, my wife works. You come home, you want to cook dinner. It'd really be nice to be able to go somewhere and have some prepared food, some good quality prepared food.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to be able to look forward to that in the future, right?
Yeah.
So we can get beer and wine.
Yeah.
Right. Get our lottery tickets.
Yeah.
All right. We can go there, get a sandwich.
Yeah.
All right. We can get breakfast, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Breakfast.
Ice cream.
Yeah.
All right. Slush puppies.
Yeah. They're famous for that.
Coffee.
Yeah.
Now, you know what you have there that I kind of like? You have a lot of unusual products. Like you have some potato chips that are not like Frito-Lay. I mean, you have that there, but then I noticed you had some kind of different.
Gourmet.
Like gourmet, gourmet. Now, where do you get that kind of stuff?
I actually don't know. I try not to get involved. I don't want to step on the manager's toes.
So he goes out, he makes his connections, brings in something. You kind of just say, hey, Ken, I'd like this to be a country store. And you kind of give him some guidelines and let him run it?
Well, I'm the official food taster, so I do contact Ken when I like or dislike something.
Oh, okay, all right. So you go in there and you check everything out, see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, okay. So anything else we need to know about Ryers besides go there, get your coffee, do your catering? Obviously can't get gas there anymore. But is there anything else that the public doesn't know about Ryers?
Well, I don't know if they don't know, but it's a meeting and greeting place too.
Yeah.
People will walk up on the porch and you see them supposed with a gallon of milk in their hand, just talking to their neighbor who they just bumped into for a while. And people tie their dogs off on the porch, go in and get their groceries done or cold cuts for the week or something like that. And it's a nice place to find out what's the latest in town before the transcript comes out. Mm-hmm. It's always been a gossip type place where you get information as well as all the other things. Mm-hmm.
And on Friday afternoon, you actually, I got a big kick out of this. You have a doorman that works the door and lets in 6 kids at a time.
Yeah, he's the bouncer. Yeah.
The bouncer. You got a bouncer that works the door on Fridays. It's a hot place Friday at about 2:45.
Oh, yeah. It's well, to the kids, it's their rite of passage when they can go to Ryers. It's always been like that, even in the 60s and the 70s. Mm-hmm. When you could go from school to Ryers on your own without your parents, it's a big deal.
It is. My daughter Fiona, when she was in elementary school, once a month, her and her friends would go to Ryers. And they'd go, they'd bring their $3 and get some candy and a drink and everything. And now she's in the middle school, and they do that. They do it a little bit more often now. But it is really nice. It's a nice community thing. You go there, and there's 20 kids sitting on your circular picnic table out there.
Yeah.
All having their drinks and talking. And then you go in the morning, and there's some people sitting there having coffee at the tables.
Yeah.
It is you've really done a good job you've done a good job. You've done an excellent job in creating a community atmosphere there at Ryers. So I know I appreciate it. And do you think that maybe in a couple of years my daughter could get a job working there?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. We're always looking for good help.
Good, good. All right. Because she said she's wanted to
Kind of
work.
put me on the spot there.
I know. Well, I did that on purpose because I want to get her employed,
Yeah.
as soon as possible. No, but since she's been about, maybe 5 years old,
Yeah.
we'd go in there and get the penny candy. We'd go through, take one, the jar, and you get the little bag. And she used to say she wanted to work there.
Yeah.
So I told her, I said, "I'll tell you what, I know Mark." I said, "I'll ask him, see if he's open to
Yeah,
it."
sure.
So we got the go ahead. I mean, I know she's got to be interviewed and everything. It's not just just because I know you doesn't mean you have to give her a job.
No, I just direct her to Ken, the manager.
Yeah. All right. Now, one more piece of history on Ryers. The Ryers family. All right. How long? Well, first of all, are there any Ryers still living in North Reading, and how far back does that family go?
There is no Ryers still living in North Reading.
Mm-hmm.
The family goes back, I guess Bill's grandfather or uncle, actually his uncle, opened the store in 1912.
Mm-hmm.
They had ducks out back and everything, hens and ducks, and they sold fresh eggs. But Molly took it over shortly after that. We actually called everybody in town, not everybody, but most local people called it Molly's.
Mm-hmm.
It always said Ryer's store on the sign, but we called it Molly's because it's Molly's store, and she was always at the register.
Yeah.
I don't remember her very well because she died in the early 60s, but Bill took it over in 1956, and we still called it Molly's. So the actual corporate name is Molly's Store, Inc.
Mm-hmm.
And but Bill was thrilled when we renamed it, or kept the name Ryer's Store.
Yeah.
He's really thrilled because he lived across the street, and he said, "Oh, I just look across the street in the morning, I know where I am." So anyway, that's some of the history about it. But
Yeah.
Bill was an accountant for Seal Test, and he went to college for that, and then he took over the store, like I say, in 1956 from Molly, and Molly lived upstairs, and we actually have her clawfoot tub that she used to bathe in. We put it out full of flowers one year, but then when the snow came, we had no place to push the snow onto the patio, so we moved it. And we have a Molly's rope bed too. It's actually at the Sergeant Flynn house upstairs on loan.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. Are you involved a lot with the historical society in North Reading?
Not necessarily the society, but yeah, the Minutemen and the society. I am involved with them a little bit. I am a member, but not a voting member.
Is your dad a member?
No.
No. You guys just participate in all the events, all right?
Right. Well, the Minutemen do the buildings down back there.
Yeah.
They created last year. We did the farm museum and made that museum.
That was really nice. That is really nice. Yeah.
My father wanted that to be a place to see that this was a farming community at one time, and what people might not know about North Reading, when they come here. But and then the Sergeant Flynn House was the first structure in town, we believe. So they recreated that, and the schoolhouse was the first piece down there, and that was actually where Eastgate Liquors is now, and they converted that into a automotive garage. And so that was going to be torn down to build Eastgate.
The schoolhouse they had made it into a garage.
Yeah.
And people were working on cars on there.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. So the Minutemen got together and they dismantled it back in the very early 90s, 92 I'll say. And I wasn't involved then, but and they stored it underneath the Putnam House barn for years.
Yeah.
Not underneath the barn. That was the Sergeant Flynn House. But the schoolhouse, they took it down wall by wall, not piece by piece.
Yeah.
And they stacked it up, and they eventually put the walls back up, and now they got the schoolhouse.
Which is wonderful. I mean, it looks like that you go inside it feels like it's always been there.
Yeah.
They did a fantastic job on that.
Yeah.
You know, every I think it's every third grade class.
Yeah.
They have a field trip and they go over there.
Yeah.
And they have like they ring the bell as they're
Yeah.
coming down. You know,
Yeah.
and they go through the whole historic district down there. But
Yeah.
they go and sit in the chairs and everything, and they have they light the potbelly stove, so it's warm in there, so it feels like it did when, you know, probably what 100 years ago, maybe 150 years ago.
Yeah.
Or the kids went to school there.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly, but it's really well done. Now the old Ryers building, you saved the structure.
Right. I saved the main post and beam part of it.
Yeah, and that's sitting maybe 100 feet from Ryers on Haverhill Street, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So if no one's ever got a chance to see the Ryers building, you can go by and see it. And maybe in the future, might see something there, possibly.
Yeah. In the future, we plan to put a ice cream stand out there.
Yeah.
And have picnic tables and stuff.
Oh, that would be really nice.
Yeah.
That'd be really nice.
Because the ice cream, when we had it in the little store, we call it the little store, it was a big hit. You could drive your car right up to the window
Yes.
and get out and walk a short distance to the window. It's kind of like a miniature Richardson's ice cream. And that was real successful. People enjoyed it. We had 2 picnic tables out in the parking lot, and it was really good. And when we did the new store, we lost that feel in that business. And
For the ice cream.
for the ice cream,
Yeah.
we still have a small ice cream window, but it just doesn't work. People
Yeah.
come in to get it, and the guys or girls are working at the grill, and they got to stop and get the ice. It's just not working. But if we
Yeah.
did a separate ice cream store over there with a museum section to it, which will look just like what it used to look like when you walk in Ryers,
Yeah.
that would be kind of fun.
Yeah, that'd be great. People do love that walk-up thing for ice cream. I don't know what it is. It's probably something to do with the summertime and stuff. But, in New England, ice cream is a home run year-round, so people, you still see them lined up at Richardson's up in Middleton, too, in the wintertime. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see that soon. You know, I want to thank you, first of all, for being on my show. I really appreciate it,
You're
taking the
welcome.
time. I know you got a lot of things to do, but you took the time to come here. And I also want to thank you for all you do for the community, because you really do a lot. And you make North Reading a much better place every day with the things you do. We love Ryers Market. I don't think I have to. I think anybody will agree with me on that. We all love the store, and we appreciate what you're doing. So thanks for being on the show.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, well, thank you for watching the Matt Ligor Show. We look forward to seeing you on our next episode that will be real soon. And special thanks to Mark Hall and the Ryers Market. You can check it also out at ryersstore.com. See you next time.